Hello Shaw, this is Jared Booth from yesterday. I'm just going to show you a couple yoga poses. Found out your condition could possibly be calcaneal spurs. What happens is stress over time, calcium drops down to the bottom of the heel and causes pain. Here was two poses that could help with that condition. First one, we're just going to have to strengthen our wrists to start out. That'll be the main thing because so much of the pose is weight bearing on the wrist. So even just going out on all fours and spreading out your fingers really wide, pressing into the arches of your hand. And then if you're good from this point, you can spend 2 or 3 days strengthening. Take 1 foot back at a time. Your feet should be about 1 foot apart, thighs parallel, toes pointing completely backwards, going into plank. And if you feel stress in this pose, you can always bring your knees back. It's always better to have a flat back and relaxed breathing. If you get into a pose where your breathing becomes strenuous or you're trembling, then you probably want to back out of it a bit. Now here's the pose that will help with your leg muscles. It stretches the entire back region of the leg, the calf, the hamstring, the bottom of the foot. Okay, so come back up into plank. Feet about 1 foot apart. And it's called adho, mukha, virasana. The main thing is your back's completely straight. Your toes are trying to go down, your heels are trying to go down to the ground, but you don't have to get your heels to the ground. This is completely fine with a straight back. Now there are many variations you could go into. Grabbing a leg, lifting a leg to really increase the stretch. But for now, we're just going to focus on going back and forth between plank and maybe even resting on the knees for a second just to gain yourself going back into plank when you're ready and going back into the pose. An instructor once made a joke to go from here to here 150 times in a row. That was pretty funny, but take them seriously one day and do it. Alright. The second pose is virasana. So stretch the quad muscles, the knees, and most importantly the ankles, and also deal with the calcaneal spurs. Again, you'll feel the immediate benefits stretching throughout your entire leg, but you'll also feel the long-term benefits. Get rid of your condition completely. Keep your knees together. Your feet should be pointing straight back. Should be about 18 inches apart. It's always better to use support in this pose to start. It's too much of a stress on your knees to sit the back of our thighs to the floor right away. If you can find some cushions or a folded up blanket and to sit on top of that so you're supported. You want to have your chest high, ribcage open, shoulders pulled back. Your index finger and your thumb are put together and placed on your knee. This is a very meditative pose. Just sit in 10 minutes a day. After your knees have felt enough, you place your hands onto your knees. Slash for about a minute. And then you interlace your fingers. Put your hands overhead. And this lasts for about a minute as well. Squeezing the sides of your biceps toward your ears. This really helps with shoulder flexibility and also deepening how far you're rooted into the pose. Bring the hands down. Place the palms onto the soles of the feet. Keeping your knees together. Mr. Anga puts his head to the floor, head to his knees, but we can just hold it here. Always remember to breathe deeply. And won't have to, probably won't go into this one for a while, but maybe it'll be somewhere for you to work towards. Supta virasana, so it increases the stretch on the legs. First, place your elbows down, then the back of the head, then the back, and lastly, the arms overhead. Really getting good stretch throughout the entire body. But again, for now, it's not about doing a huge pose. And after you're done virasana, just stretch your legs out one by one behind you. You can even come into dandasana after and stretch them out like this, just so you can get a bit of circulation back into your legs. You can probably already feel the difference from the pain you're experiencing. But for now, the main thing to focus on is strengthening your wrists so you can go into down dog to stretch out your calf muscles, and going into virasana, sitting in virasana for 10 minutes a day, doing the cycle I showed you. Eventually working up, maybe in 2 to 3 months, you'll be able to lie down in virasana. And I'm guessing in 3 to 4 days you should feel a huge difference where your legs feel lighter, you're able to move more freely, you have more core strength. We'll hope it changes his life.